Kevin McCloskey, Ricky Portella, Warrior wrap-up, week number 2. The Warriors moved to 2-0 on the season with a very impressive 52-21 to win over Southern. Ricky, it's been told, I've heard it said, that the biggest improvement comes between weeks 1 and 2. And tonight there was obvious improvement by the Warriors. What are your thoughts?
Well, I thought, first of all, Trey looked more comfortable in the pocket, especially in the first half. I think the second half we were just sort of discombobulated, if you would. I mean, such a big lead. I thought he looked good in the first half. I thought our defensive line seemed comfortable with the addition of Josiah, and we were able to move some people probably where they're more comfortable. So, yeah, I saw a big improvement.
Yeah, when we put up 52 points, obviously we're going to talk about the offense, but let's talk about a couple. You mentioned the defense. Southern put up 21 points. Those 21 points, all of them came on big plays, 2 of them on late in the game kind of things. Right. So by and large, the Warrior defense played outstanding, snuffed out. We talked last week in the Monday morning quarterback about how Southern liked to run the ball. Warriors absolutely stuffed that out, tried to make Southern pass, and they did, and it was very unsuccessful on the Southern part. Bratcher stood out to me defensively with some big plays, and the entire defensive line just kept pressure, stuffed the run, and prevented the pass. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Well, I felt like Bratcher anchored the defensive line. I thought our linebackers were very active tonight. Way and Keontae. I thought both had good games. And our defensive ends in the first half, if you have speed at the defensive ends, you're going to be dangerous, and it sort of kept Southern contained, if you would, within the tackle, which gave our defensive line, our tackles, a chance to make big plays.
And one more thing that sometimes goes unnoticed tonight, the special teams, who had a lot of struggles last week, let's be honest. This week, a perfect 7 for 7 by Jacob Christopher on his extra points, and a field goal, and some good kickoffs. They made some adjustments. We're going to try and talk to them and find out what the special teams did to get things going. That's a big part of the game.
It's a huge part of the game, and that's what gets you from a good regular season deep into the playoffs, because you have to have good punting, good coverage, and you have to make your extra points. So great improvement from week 1 to week 2 there.
Offensively, last week we predominantly put 50-plus points on the board by running the ball. This week it was a lot of passing. Trey was near perfect, 270 yards passing. 170 of those yards went to Darius Penix, who last week had like 130 yards rushing. This week he's got 170 yards receiving. How do you defend that?
Well, it's hard to, especially when you're running the ball well. And having Josiah at the tailback helped a lot because it allowed Darius, to rest, because if you remember he cramped up last week. And then putting Darius out, he's tall enough, and those little cornerbacks just can't keep up with him. He just jumps over, and he's got great hands, and it's hard to defend.
Yeah, and one thing you just mentioned, a good thing about cramps. Last week, both teams cramped up a lot. This week, I don't recall a single Western player cramping up. So let's give a shout-out to our trainers and our staffs. A lot of Southern players cramping up, no Warriors cramping up. Our team overall, and you got to give credit to everybody, trainers, staff are doing the job. Next week, big road trip, guys. We're on the road at Charlotte Butler, a 4A powerhouse. They were ranked number 3 in the state for 4A schools, always in the top 10, always in the state playoffs, state championship games. The game is at 7 o'clock, not 7:30, 7 o'clock kickoff in Matthews, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte. We're going to be there. Great crowd tonight. Great crowd. Fantastic turnout for week 1. Guys, if you can possibly do it, I know it's Labor Day weekend, we need you at Butler.
Well, the Butler game is big, and they are the powerhouse. So you go down there and you want to win, obviously. But also what you do in a game like that, you take positives out of anywhere, certain parts. If you can't win the game, you try to take some positive out of it. So we're going down there to win first. If you can't win, then you look for some positives against a great powerhouse.
It's a great measuring stick before we enter conference play. So we're going to try and grab some guys for interviews. Kevin McCloskey, Ricky Portella, good night from AM Prim Stadium.